over x. So k equals, let's take the y of 4 and put it over the x of 1/2. Now 4 is right now, it's not a fraction, but we can make it into a fraction by putting it over 1. Let's write this division symbol. And let's write down that 1/2 right there. Now we're going to keep the first fraction the way it is. Change this to a times and flip the second fraction. Let's do that. So 4 over 1 stays the way it is. Change the division symbol to a times. And then we're going to flip the second one. So in this case, the constant of proportionality is going to be 8. 8 over 1 is just 8. So each time we're going to be multiplying by 8. 0 times 8 is 0. 1/2 times 8, if we have 8 halves, we're going to have 4. 1 times 8 is 8. 1.5 times 8 is 12. Some number times 8 would be 16. So that's going to be 2. And 2.5 times 8. Oh, sorry, excuse me. 2.25 times 8 is going to be 18. Okay, so now we need to graph these points. 0, 0 is going to be right here. 1/2 in the weight in pounds of the mushroom purchased. So that's going to be 1/2 or 0.5. That's right there. Comma 4 is going to be right here. So those two lines intersect right there. 1, 8. That's our unit rate. 1, 8. There's a point right there. 1.5 would be 1.5, 12 would be right here. 2, 16. And 2.25 is going to be in between 2 and 2.5 because a quarter is half of 50 cents. And that's going to be 18. That's why we put that point there. And then we just connect all the points in a nice straight line. And we have a graph. And again, if you can do the rest of the sheet independently, please do that now. If not, keep watching. So now the unit rate. Let's figure out the unit rate. The unit rate in this case is going to be 1, r. So we have 1, 8. So the unit rate, r or k, is 8. There are a lot of different ways that we can represent the unit rate. R for rate, we could say r equals 8. We could say k equals 8 for constant of proportionality because it's the same thing. Another way we could find it is in the table, 1, 8. Or we could find it in the table because it's each time that's the number we're multiplying by, 8. And now that we know the unit rate, k equals 8, then that means that we can figure out the equation, y equals kx. So we can plug 8 in for k. We could say y equals 8x. And there's our answer. You should be able to answer this question on your own. Is it proportional? Why or not? Yes. Because it's a straight line through the origin. And now let's figure out if we can answer part A. If you spend $12 on mushrooms, how many pounds could you buy? So let's see. We can look at the graph or we can look at the table. Notice that the cost of $12 lines up with 1.5. So that's one way we can do this, 1.5. Another way we can find that answer is if we look for 12 in the purchase price, follow it across, down to 1.5 or 1.5. So that's how we got that 1.5. There's that 1.5. Now we're just going to write in our units. 1.5. How many pounds can you buy? So 1.5 pounds of mushrooms. Part B. What would be the cost of 2 pounds? Let me just put in that 2 there. Sorry about that. What would be the cost of 2 pounds of mushrooms? So we can look at 2 on the graph and follow it over to 16. So it would be $16 for 2 pounds of mushrooms. Another way we could find that answer is if we look at the table. So we were looking for 2 pounds of mushrooms. So we're going to look at the column that says pounds. So 2 pounds in this column is right here. And it says 16. So that's how another way that we could find 16 as an answer. It would cost $16. Pause the video if you need more time to copy. This says, during summer vacation, Liddy spent time with her grandmother picking blackberries. They decided to make blackberry jam for the family. Her grandmother said that you must cook the berries until they become juice and then combine the juice with the other ingredients to make jam. If you can do this problem on your own, please do that now. If not, keep watching. So we need to figure out what the unit rate is, the number that we multiply by each time. So that we can figure out what goes in this box. So let's zoom in on this here. So let's see. 4 times some number would give us 1 1/3. Now, that doesn't seem like such an easy task, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my formula. K, the constant of proportionality, equals y over x. So let's plug some things in here. So we've got y of 1 1/3 over x, but that row is 4. And we could put that over 1. Now let's convert 1 1/3 into an improper fraction. 1 1/3. So if we think 1 whole, and then only 1/3 of a whole, so we have how many thirds here and how many thirds here. In total we have 1, 2, 3 thirds, 4 thirds. So 4 thirds over 4 over 1. So we have these two fractions. We have this complex fraction. Now we want to write it as a division problem. So we have 4 thirds divided by 4 over 1. And the rule says that now what we need to do is write it as a multiplication problem. So we need to use inverse operations. So 4 thirds times 1 over 4. Inverse operations says that we change this to its opposite operation. And when we do that, we need to flip the second fraction. So now we can do some canceling. 4 over 4 cancels, and we're left with 1/3. So that means that 1/3 is the number that we multiply by each time. So now what we're going to do is multiply by 1/3. Multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. So 12 divided by 3, or 12 times 1/3, is going to be 4. And what number broken up into 3 pieces would make 8? So that's like saying 8 times 3, so that would be 24. So if you wanted to see this example, it would be some number times 1/3 gives you 8. So that's really like saying 8 divided by 1/3 equals what number? So we're going to change that into a multiplication problem. So that's 8 over 1 times 3 over 1. So that's how we got that 24. So the next step is to graph these values. If you can graph these values on your own, do that now. If not, keep watching. So we've got x is 0 and y is 0. X is 4 and y is 1 1/3. So if this is 1 and I broke this into thirds, then 1 1/3 would be right here. So these two match up right here at that point. Okay, so now that we have that point, then we're going to do 8 2/3. 8 2/3 is going to be right here. And we can't get any more points on the graph because we're officially automatically off the graph. So let's just connect those points, and they go straight through the origin. And what's the unit rate here? Well, the unit rate is always going to be the k, the constant of proportionality. The k is that number that we multiplied by each time. So it's going to be equal to y over x if you wanted to find it out again. Or you could just figure out what number did you multiply by each time. So in this case, I think we multiplied by 1/3. So that would be k equals 1/3. So we just figured out that k is 1/3, so that means if we make an equation, it would be y equals kx, and all we have to do is substitute 1/3 in for the k. And now we can answer this question, is it proportional? Why or why not? Well, if we look at the graph is a straight line, and it goes through the origin, 0, 0. So we would say yes, it's a straight line through the origin. So how many cups of juice would be made from 12 cups of berries? Well, if we look at our chart over here, we have 12 cups of berries lines up with 4 cups of juice. So we would write 4 cups of juice. And now they want to know how many cups of berries are needed to make 8 cups of juice. So 8 cups of juice, so we're on the cups of juice side. Let's look for 8. Here it is. And it lines up with 24 cups of blackberries. That's all for the lesson for today. I hope you have a lovely day.